Are you suffering from sternum pain? Have you checked your upper back lately? Yeah. Why are you doing these stupid exercises?
Oh, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Barrookie. In today's video I want to talk about sternum pain. Recently I started a new job in the same firm, but I didn't have my desk set up just yet, so I had to work from my laptop. As you all know, a laptop is a compact piece of equipment, which means that the keyboard and the screen is very close together. Well, the problem with that is that whenever you're at a good height of your elbows, say you're in this position here, right? Well, in order to look at the screen, you have to bend yourself forward. So I find myself constantly sitting like this, as opposed to if you have a screen up here, if you have a separate screen, you can do like this. And you can see that my posture starts to open up, whereas with a laptop you're starting to hunch over, and it's going to be like, it's going to happen, it's inevitable almost. With that, I started to have some sternum issues again. So my upper back started to tighten and my sternum started to get aggravated again. It's not as it was before, but it's the beginning of something that is avoidable and that should be avoided. Now, what does that apply to you or in general? Well, if we're working on our laptops, it's going to happen that your posture will suffer from it, because the keyboard and the screen together are going to make sure that something is going to suffer. So now I'm at a good eye level for my screen, but my shoulders are cramped up together. So if I'm going to be sitting like this for a long period of time, I'm going to have other issues. So whatever way you look at it, you're always going to have problems if you're working on a laptop without a separate screen or anything. So if you want to address sternum pain, I have 3 guidelines that you should follow in order to get rid of the sternum pain. The first one, and I talked about this before, is to be mindful of your posture. Like I said earlier, if you're working 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day and your posture is 10 hours a day wrong, and you're going to address that with exercises for like 15 minutes a day, well, if you balance it out, I think the bad posture will be a more determining factor than the exercises that you do. So being mindful of your posture when you're sitting, especially when you're sitting and when you're at a computer, is very important. So take note of that whenever you're on your portable or whenever you're at your smartphone. Be mindful that your posture is correct, that your scapula is slightly retracted. You don't need to be like this, right? Just be mindful that you're not hunching over. That in itself is going to take away a lot of stress from the sternum, and it's also going to make sure that your back is nice and tight and that it's nice and strong as well. So only if your posture is in check and if you're really thinking about it, and trust me, I had a problem with that in the beginning as well. So you have to constantly think about your posture, and it's always like you're thinking about your posture and 2 minutes later you're like this. But if you make a habit of it, it's going to come naturally, and once you start to imply and really being mindful of your posture, it's going to go easy as cake. Now, once you get your posture in check, the next thing you should do is to look at your thoracic spine mobility. What I like to do, and it's a very easy movement, but that's really what it is. Thoracic mobility is the ability to move your thoracic spine. Your thoracic spine is the area from here all the way up to here. I don't know if it's visible, but it's everything in your upper back. So you want that to be as movable as possible. So what I like to do, if I've been sitting for a long period of time, I have the tendency to do like this. And I really feel that everything up in that chain is going to start to loosen. So if you're sitting for long periods of time, just take a break and open up your spine. This is not going to aggravate your sternum. Just retract your shoulders and move like this. And you'll feel that your thoracic spine is going to get alive again. The ribs that connect to your back are starting to get loose again, and they're not going to aggravate your sternum. That's one thing. So really just moving like this, slight movements. Whenever you've been sitting for an hour, you're just like, oh yeah. And everything starts to get going again. So that is one of the key points for me to get your mobility going. Obviously there are a lot more exercises which I addressed in my sternum pain videos, and I really suggest you watch those videos. But this is something you can do on the fly. You don't have to lie on the floor, you don't have to get a peanut or anything, and it keeps your upper back open as well. And then there's a final point. If you have a tight upper back and if your sternum is aggravated, don't do exercises that are going to aggravate it even more. So for me, dips, right? I love to do all kinds of calisthenic exercises, but there's one that really hurts me every time. So even now, when I'm completely healthy, if I'm going to do dips, my sternum starts to get aggravated. And to be honest, I'd rather stop doing one exercise than loosely doing all the other exercises. So really, I can bench as much as I want without hurting my sternum, as long as I stay away from dips. And that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. I can still do push-ups, I can even do muscle-ups, but if I stay away from dips, everything is good. So if you find that you have one exercise that's really aggravating your sternum, stay away from it. You can always test the waters in a half a year or a year or so when you feel comfortable and when you think like, hey, my sternum, it's okay, I can start to try these exercises. But once you feel that even after a year this exercise started to hurt you again, really stay off of it. It's not worth it to try and stick with one exercise and ruin your whole training schedule. So really, if you have one exercise, stop doing it. It's going to be a lot better for you in the long run. Getting this back to you, if your upper back is very tight, be mindful of your posture. It's so important. Maybe not today, but in the long run, you're going to thank me later. So, if you're sitting behind your desk, make sure that your computer is at eye level, that you can open up your rib cage, that you can have a nice posture. And really, that's all I want. So, quick recap. Be mindful of your posture. Make sure it's in check. Before you get to corrective exercises to open up your thoracic spine. It's not because you feel something in your sternum that the sternum is the cause of your problem. Usually, and I'm not saying your case will be like this, but most of the time it's going to be your upper back that's too tight and the ribs are going to get everything out of whack in the front. So, number 2, keep your thoracic spine in check. And number 3, avoid exercises that aggravate your sternum or just get your upper back tight. Avoid those exercises. Test them again in a year or half a year, depending on your progress. And stay lean. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, hit that thumbs up. If you don't, tell me in the comments down below why you didn't like it. Or if you have any more questions, leave it in the comments down below. If you want to see other videos of me, also Give me suggestions. I'm open for you. I want to make great content and I can only do this with your feedback. So if you have some ideas, if you have some questions for videos, leave it in the comments down below. I really appreciate your feedback because I want to help you as well. So thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Peace!